In the early 1920s, Hollywood was riding high on a wave of stardom and spectacle. Silent films were the hottest form of entertainment, drawing crowds in the millions and generating money like few other industries. Movie stars were becoming cultural icons, and few shone brighter than Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle. Known for his infectious charm, comedic timing, and larger-than-life persona, Arbuckle had become one of the most beloved figures in film. He wasn't just a performer, he was a pioneer. He had signed a $3 million contract with Paramount Pictures, which in today's money would be tens of millions. That deal alone proved how much Hollywood believed in him. He directed, wrote, and acted, and helped launch the careers of future legends like Buster Keaton. But beneath the laughter and applause, storm clouds were gathering, and a single weekend would bring it all crashing down. It was Labor Day weekend in 1921 when Arbuckle threw a party at the St. Francis Hotel in San Francisco. It was supposed to be a break from the grind of filming, a little luxury, a little fun. Prohibition was in full swing, but that didn't stop Hollywood's elite from drinking. Arbuckle booked multiple rooms, filled them with bootleg liquor, and invited an array of guests, friends, fellow actors, aspiring actresses. Among them was Virginia Rappe, a young actress who had been struggling to make it big. During the party, something went horribly wrong. Virginia fell seriously ill and was taken to the hospital days later, where she died. The cause? A ruptured bladder, though how it happened became the stuff of tabloid legend. The accusations came fast and hard. Some claimed Arbuckle had assaulted her, that his sheer size caused fatal injuries, even that a soda bottle was used in the attack. It didn't take long before the media latched on, and the narrative spun wildly out of control. The press went into a frenzy. This wasn't just a Hollywood scandal. It was a full-blown national obsession. Newspapers published sensationalized stories filled with graphic details, many of them completely unverified. Headlines painted Arbuckle as a violent pervert, a Hollywood monster in clown makeup. William Randolph Hearst, the newspaper magnate who practically invented tabloid journalism, saw an opportunity to sell papers and ran with it. The Hearst papers led the charge, printing every lurid rumor they could find. The public, already skeptical of Hollywood's excesses, was outraged. Riots were threatened. Moral panic set in. Religious groups protested outside theaters, demanding bans. Arbuckle's films were pulled from distribution. Even without a single day in court, he was being publicly crucified, his name blackened, his reputation shattered. When the case finally went to trial, the courtroom became a theater of its own, but with higher stakes and a deadly serious script. The prosecution had very little concrete evidence. Much of their case relied on conflicting witness accounts and the assumption that Arbuckle, due to his size and power, must have done something terrible. Meanwhile, the defense tried to present a very different picture, that Virginia Rappe had a history of bladder problems, that there was no evidence of assault, and that witnesses were unreliable. The first trial ended in a hung jury, with most leaning toward acquittal. The second trial? Same result, but the public wasn't interested in facts, they were hungry for blood. It wasn't until the third trial that the tide finally turned. Arbuckle was not only acquitted, but the jury issued a rare public apology, stating there had been a grave miscarriage of justice and that the man had suffered unfairly. Still, the damage had already been done. Though legally cleared, Arbuckle found that public forgiveness was a far more difficult mountain to climb. Studios that once begged for his name on marquees now refused to hire him. His films remained banned, and any attempt at a comeback was met with hesitation. Hollywood had deemed him too risky, too toxic. He directed a few films under a pseudonym, William B. Goodrich, but the magic was gone. He spent years in the shadows. His fame turned into infamy. By 1933, things were starting to look up. He had signed a new deal to star in a feature film, a potential turning point. But fate had other plans. That very same night, after celebrating the new opportunity, Roscoe "Fatty" Arbuckle died in his sleep of a heart attack. He was only 46 years old, a comedic genius reduced to a tragic footnote. But Arbuckle's story isn't just about personal tragedy, it triggered a seismic shift in the film industry. The scandal was so massive and the public's reaction so ferocious that it nearly destroyed Hollywood. Religious leaders, politicians, and parent groups all began calling for stricter oversight of the film industry. Studios, fearing complete collapse, knew they had to act. They formed the Motion Picture Producers and Distributors of America, the MPPDA, and hired Will Hays, a former U.S. Postmaster General and a strict moralist, to clean up their image. What followed was the birth of the Hays Code, a strict set of censorship rules that would dominate American filmmaking for decades. No sexual innuendo, no profanity, no immoral behavior unless it was punished, all because of one scandal that terrified the industry into submission. So when people remember Hollywood's golden age, they often forget that it rose from the ashes of a media firestorm. Arbuckle wasn't just a victim, he was the sacrificial lamb used to save a system. The studios learned a harsh lesson: protect the brand, protect the money, no matter who gets crushed. And while time has brought more nuance to the story, with many historians agreeing Arbuckle was railroaded, the damage was irreversible. His case became the blueprint for how Hollywood would handle future scandals, with spin, with silence, and with ruthless control. The Arbuckle scandal wasn't just a moment, it was the beginning of an era where image mattered more than truth. Roscoe Fatty Arbuckle's story is one of the darkest chapters in entertainment history. He was a man who reached the pinnacle of fame only to be obliterated by rumor, fear, and public hysteria. He became the face of a moral panic, a warning sign for stars who dared to fly too close to the sun. And while his name may be remembered in scandal, the deeper tragedy is how quickly Hollywood turns on its own, and how the truth often comes too late to matter.